Sunday was the day after Remembrance Day, and I decided to go to central London because I wanted to take some photos of the celebrations across town. I usually stay much closer to the subjects. I immerse myself in the street, but today I wanted to stay a bit further away than usual and observe the world passing by. So I sat down at a cafe and I started to observe what was happening in front of me. Different shades of humanity revealed to me hundreds of people walking up and down, and a few patterns appearing in front of my eyes. There were many people, ex-soldiers, generals, people from the British Army. I was just opposite a pub where a lot of them, after the celebration, near Trafalgar Square, were gathering for a pint, and in the spot where I was sitting, I could see them having a drink together, having a laugh, taking selfies, having a cigarette. There was a lady as well. She was probably waiting for someone. She was avidly smoking a cigarette, actually more than a cigarette after a cigarette. She was crying at some point. She was probably waiting for someone. She was surrounded by all these soldiers or ex-soldiers, but they were not talking to her. They were in their own group, so she was quite lonely. There was another guy making a lot of telephone calls, a few people having drinks. There was a group of people making a video call. A guy was holding a red phone and everybody was cheering and laughing. Who were they calling? Maybe a friend who was in the hospital, in a care homes perhaps. They were telling this person how amazing it was, the celebration, and how much this person was missed. Something else that I noticed as well is that there was a map just in front of me, and every minute or two people were stopping to check for directions. Around them other people were taking photos of something that I didn't know exactly what it was, but everybody was stopping there and taking photos. I think they were taking photos of a sculpture at the top of the pub, but I wasn't sure. I was more interested in the people looking at the map, feeling lost. Really made me think about how humanity is lost. I'm quite optimistic, but I do think a lot of people are lost. So I noticed a few people checking for directions and looking around and then moving away. Smiley people walking up and down the road. Lots of people taking photos, smoking. It's a moment that you have for yourself. It's like having coffee, or it's like walking on the beach or swimming. It's a mindful moment, and I was very fascinated by the intensity that some people put in smoking that cigarette, how intensely they were puffing. Air, smoke, up in the air. What caught my eye was also the beautiful colors of the dresses, the clothes, the hats, the color of the hair, the lipsticks. There was a lot of red, lots of poppies, and in front of me there was a very vibrant humanity unfolding. I was interested in the gestures of the people, their hands, what their hands were doing. Many couples walked past me, and I took photos of them holding hands. I noticed that couples were holding hands in a very different way. There were parents holding hands with children. There was women holding hands, a couple, maybe a father and a son, and behind them a woman that was hanging on their strong shoulders and hands. That was a very powerful moment. Also people looking around, searching for something, maybe waiting for something. I've always been very fascinated by that. What are they looking for? Are they searching for something? I didn't really see where they were looking at, but nevertheless I was very intrigued by that. They were looking at something, somewhere. Maybe they didn't even know what it was. And then lots of people walking, right, left, up and down. With the lens that I had, I managed to take a lot of close-ups of people, and I always been very fascinated by people's expressions, gestures, hands, eyes, hands holding phones, hands taking photos. There were some happy moments that I managed to capture, which really caught my eyes. One was an old red phone booth just outside the window where I was standing, outside the cafe. There were two sets of tourists in particular that I took some photos of, and I was just fascinated by the smile of the ladies. There was something quite genuine about that, something quite warm, quite beautiful. I could really see happiness. There was an Asian man who was searching for something. He was probably looking for directions to go somewhere. And then all of a sudden there was a man who helped him, an English man with a beautiful hat and a poppy. And the way the two people were talking to each other, I couldn't hear what they were talking about, but there was a connection between the two. I noticed also that the same man, after the Asian person left, he was helping someone else as well. So he was probably on a mission to help, to support other people. And that really moved me, really moved me. At some point I noticed some people holding a big mattress. They were young people, possibly late 20s or so. Each of them were carrying a piece of furniture, a chair, some drawers, piece of furniture. There was something quite jarring about them walking with those unusual furnitures and quite bulky. But what really caught my eye was the fact they were smiling. They were happy. Why were they happy? I have no idea. There was something so powerful about them walking along the street with those furnitures. It just filled my heart. There was a sense of camaraderie, sense of connection, sense of hope, friendships. I stayed maybe 3 hours inside the cafe. And when I left, I had a sense of connection with humanity, a sense of warmth, and a sense of hope.